The silent arrival. The Zarketh Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 300 warships, their obsidian hulls glinting like blades against the dark canvas of space. High Commander Vex'Zora stood upon the bridge of the flagship Urkel Vorn, his posture rigid, ceremonial armor gleaming under the cold light of the command deck. Before him, Earth floated in the void. Blue, green, white. Peaceful. Vulnerable. Primitive, he muttered. A dozen officers stirred around him, heads bowed in deference. Tactical data scrolled across the main display. No active orbital defense platforms. No planetary shields. No signs of a spacefaring navy. Earth, classified as a pre-warp Class 3 world, appeared utterly defenseless. Exactly as predicted. Proceed to invasion formation, Vex'Zora commanded. Fleet movements rippled out instantly. The Urkel Vorn led the central spearhead, flanked by cruisers bristling with energy lances and troop transports cradling legions of Zarketh shock troopers bred for planetary subjugation. Behind them, gravitational artillery barges pulsed with latent energy, ready to turn Earth's cities to glass if necessary. A junior officer approached. High Commander, the latest intelligence intercepts are ready. He waved the officer forward. A holoscreen flickered on, showing fragments of intercepted Earth transmissions, video clips, cultural media, newsreels. A man in black sunglasses dodging bullets midair. Gigantic metal machines tearing through cities. Humans fighting off alien invaders with nukes and grit. The Zarketh War Council had reviewed the footage and declared it to be exaggerated mythos. Earthlings glorified violence and fiction, but showed no real sign of unity or advanced technology. Divided by nations, weak in the stars, still clinging to fossil fuels. Still, something gnawed at Vex'Zora. Not fear. Zarketh did not feel fear, but unease. We begin our descent in 10 cycles, he declared. This world will kneel by nightfall. Then, something unexpected happened. An object, small, fast, and human-made, rocketed from the planet's surface and streaked toward the flagship. The bridge lights dimmed as sensors locked on. Unarmed probe, the tactical officer reported, broadcasting a primitive identification signal. No payload detected. Vex'Zora narrowed his eyes. Ignore it. The probe closed in. It scanned the flagship. Rapid bursts of tight beam pulses directed at weapon systems, shield frequencies, and thermal outputs. Then, with mechanical precision, it self-destructed. A silent pulse swept through the fleet. Screens flickered. Comms channels cut out for 3 seconds. Minor, but intentional. Localized EMP, the officer confirmed. No damage, but strange. Vex'Zora's frown deepened. Primitive world. How did it penetrate our jamming net? Before anyone could respond, alarms flared. Commander, we're detecting sudden power surges across the system. Another officer said, voice tense. Thousands of objects, previously dormant, activating in high orbit around Earth. The screen updated. Red markers swarmed across the orbital map. What they had assumed were space junk or defunct satellites were now online, deploying countermeasures, activating rail systems, or forming defensive constellations. Cloaked orbital defenses? Vex'Zora hissed. Impossible, muttered his second-in-command. That level of stealth, on this scale, shouldn't be within their capacity. They were hiding, Vex'Zora realized. Not unaware, not unprepared. The stars around Earth shimmered and disappeared. The planet was gone. No, hidden. An artificial veil of quantum distortion now cloaked Earth, warping sensor feeds, scrambling tracking systems. The planet flickered like a ghost on the scanners. Vex'Zora stepped toward the viewport, his claws tightening around the rail. They knew we were coming. Another officer spoke up, breathless. Commander, new transmissions, broad-spectrum burst from the lunar surface. Unknown encryption. Some are piggybacking our own protocols. What language? None we recognize. Pure signal disruption. Strategic jamming. The bridge fell silent. Vex'Zora turned toward the fleet display. His armada hung between the moon and a now invisible Earth, surrounded by dormant defenses that had played dead until the last moment. The trap had been sprung, and his fleet had flown straight into it. He clenched his jaw, forcing calm into his voice. Ready all weapons. Deploy interceptors. And someone find me the origin of that probe. But even as the orders left his mouth, deep in his gut, a single thought echoed. We underestimated them. And now, the galaxy might never be the same. The human response. Captain Asha Navarro stood on the command deck of EDS Leviathan, the largest warship Earth had ever built, and the one the world never admitted existed. From its orbit behind the moon, it had watched the Zarketh fleet arrive like a black tide. She didn't flinch. She'd seen it coming. Status? She asked. Quantum veil fully deployed. Orbital cloaks disengaged. Fleet-wide systems green. Her executive officer, Commander Patel, replied. Navarro turned to the forward display. The enemy fleet was massive, but clumsy, designed for intimidation, not subtlety. The Zarketh had always fought lesser races. They weren't ready for humanity. We waited 30 years for this moment, Navarro said quietly. Let's give them the welcome they deserve. Initiate Protocol Fenrir. The order rippled through every layer of Earth's hidden defenses. In an instant, the illusion of human weakness shattered. Across high orbit, long-dormant satellites unfolded, revealing magnetic rail cannons the length of city buses. Stealth drone swarms buzzed to life, emerging from black vaults hidden within space debris fields. From Earth's surface, guided kinetic launchers fired tungsten rods into orbit, simple, devastating, impossible to intercept. The Zarketh flagship was the first to take a hit. A rod, accelerated to Mach 20 by a mass driver buried beneath Antarctica, slammed into the flagship's forward plating. No explosion, just raw kinetic devastation. Armor crumpled like paper. The Zarketh vessel veered off course, venting plasma from a shattered engine. Aboard the Leviathan, cheers erupted. Navarro didn't smile. Don't celebrate yet. They'll hit back harder. And they did. The Zarketh fleet surged forward in a unified wave, firing with brutal efficiency. Plasma lances and graviton beams arced across space. One of Earth's automated defense stations exploded in a silent blossom of light. A drone swarm was vaporized. But Earth was not fighting conventionally. Within the Zarketh fleet, systems began to fail. Engines stuttered. Weapons misfired. Hull temperature spiked. Earth's AI warfare protocols had infiltrated the invaders' comms, using the probe's EMP burst as a Trojan horse. Zarketh firepower dropping across the board, reported Patel. We've compromised their targeting matrices. On Earth, bunkers deep beneath the Rockies came online. Quantum supercomputers pulsed as Earth's strategic defense AI, Ares, hacked alien protocols in real time. In space, Earth's warships emerged. The Leviathan led 5 other Dreadnought-class vessels, each armed with directed energy weapons, stealth systems, and magnetic shielding. They had been Earth's secret deterrent, hidden from both its enemies and its own people. Today, they became humanity's vanguard. Navarro's ship tore through a Zarketh cruiser with a single salvo, plasma beams cutting deep into the enemy's core. The enemy vessel buckled and shattered, its debris scattering into Earth's upper atmosphere. Yet it wasn't just the weapons that shocked the Zarketh. It was the coordination. The Zarketh believed humans were fractured. Instead, they found global unity, drilled precision, and a war doctrine designed specifically to counter them. On the bridge of the Urkel Vorn, High Commander Vexora watched in disbelief as his fleet crumbled. These aren't primitives, his science officer whispered. They prepared for us. No, Vexora growled. They were waiting. Back aboard the Leviathan, a new alert flashed on Navarro's console. Infiltration team reports success, said Patel. We've boarded the enemy flagship. Navarro exhaled slowly. It was time to send a message. Broadcast this to all enemy frequencies, she said. Translate it into galactic trade tongue. She cleared her throat. Her voice rang out, calm and cold. To the invading force, this is Captain Asha Navarro of the Earth Defense Coalition. You came here expecting weakness. You found resistance. You are surrounded. You're compromised. You're not welcome. This is your only warning. She cut the transmission. Above Earth, the stars burned bright. The Zarketh fleet began to retreat, what remained of it. But Earth didn't let them go. As the final warning expired, new contacts appeared on the battlefield. Stealth human ships emerging from the asteroid belt. Earth trap was total, and the galaxy, though still silent, had begun to listen. War unleashed. Sergeant Declan Reese slammed the magnetic clamp of his boots against the Zarketh hull and gave the hand signal to advance. His strike team followed, their dark armor mat against the gleaming alien alloy of the flagship's outer surface. Charge is set. One of the Marines whispered into the comms. On your mark. Reese raised 2 fingers. Boom. The shaped charge cut a clean hole through the hull, venting pressurized gas and vaporized metal into the void. Reese led the breach, weapon raised, senses sharp. Inside, flickering alien lights cast shadows against the curved walls of the corridor, organically grown, like bone and steel had fused. They swept the hallway in practiced formation. The air inside the Zarketh ship stank of ozone and something reptilian. Reese had been in war zones from Mars to Europa, but nothing compared to the surreal horror of boarding an alien battleship. Stay tight, he ordered. We make for the command core. Elsewhere, Earth's ships held the Zarketh fleet in place. The trap had worked. Now came the kill. On the Urkel Vorn's command deck, High Commander Vexora leaned heavily against his command console, blood seeping between the scales of his side. A near miss had tossed him across the deck earlier, fracturing several ribs. Report, he hissed. Half the fleet is destroyed or disabled. No response from our forward units. Internal security reports intruders aboard. Humans. Vexora's voice dripped with disbelief. The tactical officer nodded. They are relentless. Unpredictable. They move with precision, but strike with chaos. Our warriors are falling. Vexora stared at the holographic display. Earth's ships moved like predators, not in formation, but in packs. They circled their targets, attacked from multiple vectors, and disappeared before return fire could lock on. He realized too late. Earth had learned from observing the galaxy. The humans hadn't just prepared for invasion. They'd studied their would-be conquerors and designed warfare around exploiting them. Sound internal lockdown, he growled. Purge the corridors. But the humans were already inside. Reese's squad carved through alien resistance with brutal efficiency. Pulse rifles ripped through Zarketh warriors, and breaching charges opened doors like paper. The Zarketh were formidable in single combat, taller, stronger, armored with natural scales. But humanity had no intention of fighting fair. Motion ahead, a Marine warned. They dropped to cover as 3 Zarketh soldiers rounded a corner, plasma blades raised. Reese didn't hesitate. He tossed a drone grenade. Tiny, insect-like machines burst forth midair, swarming the aliens and detonating in synchronized microbursts. By the time the smoke cleared, the hallway was empty save for scorched walls and remains. We don't stop, Reese growled. Command Corps 50 meters out. His voice was steady, but inside he felt it rage. Not fear, not pride, rage. This wasn't just another mission. They had come for his planet. At last, they reached the heart of the ship, the command core, a chamber pulsing with alien biocircuits and multi-tiered controls. In the center, Vexora stood, one claw resting on a plasma blade. Behind him, 2 elite guards blocked access to the control throne. Reese stepped forward, rifle aimed. Commander Vexora, he said through the translator embedded in his armor. By order of the Earth Defense Coalition, you are under arrest. The alien bared his teeth. You speak like victors. We don't need to speak, Reese said. You've seen what we are. Vexora's eyes narrowed. You shouldn't exist. Your kind is fractured, chaotic. You were supposed to fall. Reese stepped closer, face hidden behind his helmet's visor. That's the mistake all of you made. You think unity is strength. But humans? We fight because we're fractured. We adapt. We survive. You pushed us to the brink once. We made sure that would never happen again. He pulled the trigger. A stun round dropped the Zarketh commander to the floor. The guards fell in quick succession. "Command, this is Strike Team Echo," Reese said over the link. "Flagship is secured." On Earth and across the fleet, cheers erupted. But in the silence that followed, Navarro's voice cut in. "Good work, Sergeant. But we're not done. The galaxy's watching now. Make sure they see who we are." Reese looked around the alien bridge, then to his reflection in a polished surface. Human. Predator. The message to the stars. The galactic assembly chamber on Verlos Prime had not fallen silent in over 1,000 years. Now it was silent. Delegates from 100 species sat frozen, their eyes locked on the central display, a broadcast intercepted from the Sol system. It wasn't distorted, encrypted, or filtered. The humans had made sure it was clear. Captain Asha Navarro stood center frame, wearing the dark naval uniform of the Earth Defense Coalition. Behind her, a viewport displayed the wreckage of the Zarketh fleet. Drifting hulls, scattered fire trails, the flagship impaled through its side by an orbital mass driver still spinning slowly from its last launch. Her voice was calm, controlled, and sharp as a blade. To the members of the Galactic Council, to the species who watched and waited while Earth was targeted, we know who you are. We know you assumed we were too divided, too late, too small. The Zarketh came to enslave us. They left in pieces. We did not seek this war, but we ended it. And if another fleet follows, we will end that one, too. This is Earth. This is humanity. We are awake now. The broadcast ended. And still, the chamber held its breath. Finally, Ambassador Threx of the Avanti broke the silence. They defeated the Zarketh High Fleet in a single rotation. Impossible. The Zarketh underestimated them, murmured an elder of the Telari. So do we all. At the back of the chamber, a quiet figure watched without speaking. A representative from a minor system, long ignored. Now he spoke up. They were never backward. They were hiding. Back on Earth, the celebrations had already begun, though the cost was still being counted. Navarro stood at a makeshift command table deep within a lunar operations bunker. Generals, analysts, and intelligence officers surrounded her. Zarketh command structure has collapsed, reported Patel. Their surviving ships are in full retreat, broadcasting surrender requests or going dark. Let them run, Navarro said. We have what we came for. She gestured to the side, where a holographic projection of High Commander Vexora rotated slowly. Alive, sedated, detained. Earth had never planned for just survival. It had planned for leverage. We've already extracted partial galactic maps from their systems, Patel added. Stargate locations, trade routes, council outposts. We'll be years decoding it all. We won't need years, Navarro said. We'll need resolve. Because this victory? It's just the opening shot. A silence fell. Everyone knew what she meant. The Zarketh weren't the only threat. Earth had seen the wider galaxy, its wars, its games, its old empires, and it had no illusions left. They'd turned Earth into a fortress. Now it will become something more. Days later, in orbit above Saturn, the first Earth-built Stargate powered up. Navarro watched from the observation deck as a tear in space bloomed at the gate's heart. The breach shimmered, unstable but controlled. On the other side, a dozen alien systems waited. She turned to Reese, who stood beside her, fresh from debriefing and already cleared for off-world recon. Ready to step through? She asked. Reese adjusted his armor, gaze locked on the spinning portal. Ready as I'll ever be. Navarro nodded. We're not invaders, but we're not prey either. Make contact, observe, and don't fire unless fired upon. He smirked. And if we're fired on, then make sure they never fire again. With that, the first human expedition passed through the gate. Earth had gone to war, defending itself. Now, it stepped into the galaxy as something new. Not just a survivor, not just a victor, a force to be reckoned with. In the ruins of a shattered Zarketh command station, a last transmission bounced through hidden subspace channels. Earth has awakened, : They are not what we thought, : They are coming, :